Welcome to Evilive, the live media commentary show that answers the question, is the devil to pay? Subscribe if you're new to the channel because today we are reviewing Hulu's Hellraiser film. That's right, I actually thought it was a series that was supposed to be coming out, and it's just a film. It's just one solo film. It's strange in the world of streaming that we now live in. When you only have 1 2-hour film, you almost feel cheated. Like, how come I don't have 8 to 12 40-minute episodes anymore? You know, it's strange. And I think the strength of Hellraiser is that it lends itself to episodic series way over any film. I think Hellraiser has sort of jumped the shark in its later films, in the entire series that its lifespan. The first 2 are amazing, and everything after that is sort of like diminishing returns on enjoyment and quality. But let's get into this because I'm an obsessive when it comes to Hellraiser. Not because I love every single film, but because I love Clive Barker. I love his work. And I love The Hellbound Heart. I love the Scarlet Gospels. I even have some comics from Hellraiser, which are outstanding. This, however, is not Clive Barker's Hellraiser. This is a reimagining. And what confused me about it, because going into this, I heard that Clive Barker had to approve everything. And that doesn't mean it's going to be good, because everyone shits the bed from time to time, even Clive Barker. But it does bother me because there's some fundamental changes to the entire concept of Hellraiser as a show that were dramatically different than the Hellbound Heart ever was. And it all comes down to the lament configuration, Le Marquand's puzzle blocks. And this is the difference, and I'm going to get into the differences here in just a second. It's these differences that inform my almost hatred of this. And it makes me upset because the actual film is fine. It's, you know, I think the acting is just great. I'm not a big fan of the new Cenobites, but the individuals in the actual film, I think all do their roles wonderful justice. I think the film itself is put together really well. What bothers me is that it takes away from the actual lore that we know and love as Hellraiser fans. And what I don't understand is why you would pick up an IP like Hellraiser with an established modus operandi of how things operate and then completely change them. I just don't understand why you would do that and then expect people to like it. Because this is not your grandpapa's Hellraiser. All right, let's get into it. So this is directed by David Bruckner, who does a wonderful job directing it. The screenplay is by Ben Collins and Luke Piotrowski. Sorry, I can't say that last name. The screenplay is okay. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with it. It's just, again, it misunderstands what the lament configuration actually is. It stars Oillataguerre as Riley McKendry and Jamie Clayton as the Hell Priest. We all know as Pinhead, which actually no one likes Pinhead as the name. I mean, Clive Barker absolutely hates it, which is why he went so far as to name him Hell Priest in the Scarlet Gospels. There's even a small novella that Clive Barker worked with someone else that I read recently that's like a bridge between Hellbound Heart novel and, well, novella itself, and the Scarlet Gospels novel, which is actually pretty good. It does a wonderful job of bridging the two together, and it still stays within the same universe, and it feels authentic and real. So let's see. Adam Faison is Colin, Matt's boyfriend. Matt is played by, sorry, I'm looking through my notes here, Brandon Flynn, and that's Riley's estranged brother. Riley is the Oillataguerre. She is a recovering addict. And the boyfriend that she is with, who she's sort of, using him as a means of filling that addiction hole, it seems like. Anyway, he ultimately is, and this is all spoiler, by the way. I want to make sure that's very, very clear. This is a spoiler review. If you don't want to know about Hellraiser, the 2022 film that just came out on Hulu, stop watching it because I'm going to spoil it right now. So the boyfriend that she is actually with at the very beginning, it turns out he's actually hired by, what's his name? Roland Voigt, played by Goran Visnijic, who does a wonderful job as the character. But he's hired by this guy in order to collect souls on his behalf for the lament configuration. Because in this version of Hellraiser, the puzzle box has different stages, and each stage gets you closer and closer to ultimately Leviathan. Each configuration gets you closer and closer to Leviathan, which is Roland's goal is to commune with Leviathan in some way and gain some sort of, that old trope of like Faust, sell your soul to the devil or something. It never gets there, so we never know what his original intentions would have been. He just wanted power or something. But it was frustrating because the dynamic between Riley and the guy she was with, I'm trying to look and see if I don't see his. Oh, here it is. Drew Starkey plays Trevor. So that's Riley's boyfriend. They actually have a really wonderful dynamic, and I really found myself getting invested in them. But to know that the whole time he was just luring her to the puzzle box actually diminishes the relationship and chemistry that they actually had on screen. It was very frustrating because I don't think anyone who was getting ready to send someone off to their death would really be that invested in the other character. They would just want to hurry them along to the end goal, not spend so much time with them that, they actually become attached. And this is very, very frustrating as a viewer to watch. And this leads us to the first problem with this version of Hellraiser. The lament configuration, it's not important who opens the box. It's important who wanted the box opened. And we see this in Hellraiser 2 and Hellraiser 3. The point is not the individual who opens it. The point is who wanted it opened. We even see it in Hellraiser 4 up in space, for fuck's sake. And because Roland Voigt is the one who wants the configuration to get to the final configuration of Lucifer, which is, that sort of like diamond shape, he's never hurt. In fact, some junkie kid unlocks it to the next configuration for him, and he is standing there while the Cenobites' chains are attacking this kid, and he's not harmed at all in the same room. Which would never have fucking happened. Never. Which is, again, a huge problem because the Cenobites don't give a damn. They're there to serve the desire, the passion, not the mechanical part of it at all. They even made a deal with Kirsty in the first film because it was Frank who actually escaped them. And they allowed her, ultimately they tried to backtrack on it, but the point being, they made a deal with her in order to get Frank back. So this whole idea that you can be the owner of the puzzle box, have someone else open it for you, you would get the benefit of that somehow, but they have to suffer, makes zero sense in the Hellraiser world. It's stupid. Number 2, the only way you can actually get caught up by the Cenobites in this version of this movie is if you get cut. Because the puzzle box has these little spikes that shoot out once it completes a configuration. And if you don't get cut by that, you're not hurt. Another stupid fucking flaw in this entire logic of this goddamn film. It doesn't make any sense. So you could be the one who wants to open the box. You open the box, but if you don't get cut by the box, you're not going to be hurt by the Cenobites? What? It makes no sense. And then if you accidentally get cut by this stupid prong, and you're not even there during the opening of the box, then you're going to be killed by the Cenobites. So stupid that a Cenobite actually gets killed by the Cenobites because he got cut with the stupid fucking puzzle box. Unbelievable stupid fucking storytelling. What's the point? What is the entire point of the puzzle box? It's to open the portal for the Cenobites to come in and provide you pleasure and pain. That's the point of it. It's not to mark you for death. And especially to other Cenobites? Are you out of your goddamn mind? That's stupid. Just bitchy fucking writing. It makes no goddamn sense. All right, so we've established that this is not your Hellraiser that you grew up with, that you understand. The entire rule system is completely changed into be some sort of mockery of what it used to be. Again, so much so that even other Cenobites can be killed by the Cenobites it's like a weird homing beacon thing. Like if there's a homing beacon and a missile is falling in on the homing beacon, you put that on someone, it'll go kill them instead of you. That's exactly what this is like. I'm going to stab the Cenobites, and so the Cenobites have to ignore me and kill the other Cenobites because they got stabbed by the box. Get the fuck out of here. So goddamn stupid. Not that I have an opinion on the matter. It's just so frustrating because I love this so much. I love the lore behind this so much. To see it fundamentally change this way drives me crazy. Okay, now let's talk about the Cenobites. Because the entire premise is that Riley gets the box in order to be a sacrifice. She doesn't end up getting cut by the box, and so everyone around her ends up getting cut by it, and they all end up dying, like her brother, for example. And then she ends up having to run away from the Cenobites once we find out that Roland Voight's behind the whole thing, and he's like partially in hell, partially out of hell, it seems like. It's not really clear to me. I started watching it for a second time, and I couldn't get through the very ending because it's so stupid. It's such a bad ending. But the Cenobites that you get, the whole Cenobite design actually bothers me. It's not like the premise of the Cenobites' appearance is that it somehow represents a sort of something that you did in life, or something that is going to be some form of a torture for you over your vices or something. Like there's supposed to be some sort of meaning in it, and you see this mainly in number 2 and on. We don't know anything about, when we learn about the history of Doug Bradley's Pinhead, which is the only Pinhead. He doesn't have like a real reason for having the pins in his head. There's, the fat Butterball, he's Butterball because, obviously grotesquely eating until, he like kills himself with eating. Chatterbox, I don't know, maybe it has something to do with them talking in life or something. There's a version of Chatterbox in this as well, which is, let me see if I can find it really quick. There's Weeper, Asphyx, Gasp, the Mask, and then, of course, the Priest. And I think those are the only ones that it's showing. Oh, the Chatterer is what they call it instead of Chatterbox. So we get to see a plethora of Cenobites, which is fine, except I really don't like the design of them. I like the original. It was a takeaway from the homosexual BDSM bars that Clive Barker used to go to, and he wanted something that was sensual, that was sexual, that was exciting to look at, but a little bit scary and terrifying at the exact same time, with a little hint of sexuality into it, with that sort of that leather dominatrix look. That's Clive Barker in a nutshell. Like, that is his thing. If you've read any of his books, he is a very sexual writer. And so I like that side of it. This has less sexuality, like zero sexuality attached to it. And it's just their skin, pulled and twisted and poked and yanked in different weird formations. But there's no actual humanity to it. Like, what I really loved about the original Cenobites was that you felt like that was a person that was turned into this. In this version, these Cenobites, sometimes it just looks like they're wearing a flap helmet. It doesn't look like their skull is ripped open and it's the skin like revealing brain or anything. It just looks like a helmet. I mean, it doesn't, like, even the Hell Priest, even Pinhead's makeup, it looks like garbage. It's just flesh sort of cut open so you see more muscle. There's no like hanging flaps. There's, the whole idea of the chains, that's a gift from hell to this Hell Priest. They're the Order of the Gash. Those are like sentient entities. And it seems like they're just like, now everyone just has chains, or they're not even in control of them at all, and they just sort of happen on their own willy-nilly throughout the whole film. It's very, very strange. It doesn't make sense. It's actually a weapon assigned to the Hell Priest, which is taken away if they're not doing their job. So, just again, the logic behind the universe that we know about Hellraiser is gone. It's completely changed. And I understand that they came into this saying, this is a reimagining, this is not a remake or a continuation. Okay, don't call it Hellraiser then, because it's not Hellraiser. Call it something else. You call it Hellraiser and all the baggage is right there with it. Like, we understand how the Cenobites work and operate and who they are. No longer. We understand how the lament configuration is and works. No longer. Like, those are the fundamental aspects of what Hellraiser is. You take those away and it's no longer Hellraiser. It's something else. So, when it comes down to everyone making a big deal about Jamie Clayton, the first trans person to play a Cenobite. That doesn't fucking matter. It's just a woman. It's a woman Pinhead who doesn't look as scary. And actually the pins on her face is so androgynous and soft, it almost looks cartoonish because it doesn't look rigid or scary. It's just like this soft, round face with a bunch of pins and a pattern instead of like a chiseled, grisly face. It doesn't make it scary at all. So I didn't even like Pinhead, which is really the standout of what made Hellraiser an entire franchise. And of course, I didn't like the Pinheads in the later Pinhead films anyway, the later Hellraiser films anyway, so that's nothing new. It's just that if you're going to go to such lengths to redesign the Cenobites, to recast them as female versions, and if we're being fair, in the novella, Pinhead had a female voice, like he straight up did. In the movie, he didn't. Of course, it was Doug Bradley, a man. So I don't care about the gender changing of it. What I care about is it just looking goofy as hell and or cartoony, not scary. I didn't think the other Cenobites looked particularly scary. I don't know why they didn't just get inspiration from, I'm pointing at Clive Barker's Tortured Souls toy set that he did with Todd McFarlane years ago. I have 1 and 2 series of them, and they're terrifying. They look like Cenobites, even though they're technically not. Why wouldn't you just lean into that so that I don't know. The whole thing fell flat for me. Riley was the best part of this entire film, hands down. She was great. Her dynamic with her brother was great. The roommates and everything were really wonderful. Getting this, great family, disturbed, disconnected vibe. And the whole idea of trying to collect souls on the face is fine, except that we were introduced to the lament configuration with the Hellbound Heart, and it was supposed to bring angels in to provide ultimate pain and pleasure. That's the whole point of it. And in this particular movie, it's not. It's completely changed. So ultimately, they win. Riley wins, I guess, if you can call it winning. And I didn't like this film. I didn't like this film at all. I can't even watch it a second time. That's how much I dislike this film. And that really bums me out because I was really, really excited for this film. Again, I love Hellraiser. I love Hellbound Heart. I love Clive Barker's work, but this fell fucking flat. And I guess, just as a closing statement, if you're going to create a reimagined version of something that people desperately love, you need to strip it further away so that it doesn't feel like you're trying to recreate something rather than reimagining something. And again, this is splitting hairs and everyone's going to land in their own different places. And if you're not particularly invested in the Hellraiser story, then maybe you don't care. Maybe it's just good enough to have scary demonic creatures, tearing people apart, even if it's other Cenobites. Maybe that is all you need. Okay. We've had Cenobites kill Cenobites in other films. It's not, the beginning of some sort of end. It's not dooming or anything. But I'm not going to ever watch another sequel of this version. It's garbage. I will forever go back to Hellraiser 1 and 2 and be very, very happy that those exist and just celebrate them for the magnificent horror films that they really are. So that's my review. Ultimately, I gave this 2 evil eyes out of 5 evil eyes. The directing of it was good. The cinematography is fine. The music of it, it's calling back to the original Hellraiser music. So that's a 10 out of 10. That's great. The acting, for the most part, was really wonderful. I was invested in the actors and in their characters. It's just the lament configuration, the puzzle box, and the Cenobites that fell flat for me. And considering that those are the two elements that make a Hellraiser movie Hellraiser, you lost the fucking point of this. So that's all I had for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this review. Let me know what you thought. Am I way off mark? Did you love this film? Did it matter that they changed how the lament configuration worked, or they completely sanitized the way the Cenobites care about who opened the box? Does that matter to you as a fan? Do you just want to see torn flesh? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, remember, the evil spelled backwards is live. So get your asses out there and be fucking evil.